edition of G-Rock Rising and a band that you will not want to miss. We're here with Shadows Lie, the lovely Kira, Lee, CT, Marco, and Frank. You can all identify yourselves for the camera.
CT.
As I jumped into the middle of the band here. Lots to talk about, and I do have to say, because it's pretty unavoidable, but this is the first band, Shadows Lie, in here with us at the G-Rock Studios, to feature a female vocalist. And I know in getting the information about Shadows Lie, one thing that you do is kind of say it's kind of an Evanescence sound because you're a harder rock band and there are those female vocals. Is that something that you kind of just have to deal with, being pigeonholed by the whole Evanescence comparison because it's out there, they're prominent, I guess? Or, I mean, do you wind up using it to your advantage as a band in that sense?
I actually take it as a compliment because I think they're amazing, really. It doesn't bother me at all. I mean, I think I don't know if we're actually directly influenced by them. We just end up kind of sounding like them in certain ways.
I know by my part I could say that I'm directly not influenced by them. Not that I think they're great too, but
it's just not something.
But it's more, I actually do find it a little frustrating because I feel like there's not a lot of. It seems like if you're a female-fronted rock band, then you're automatically compared to like Evanescence because there are not a lot of other female-fronted rock bands around.
Right.
But I feel like we have a lot of incorporate a lot of acoustic guitars and stuff like that. So I feel like we're actually not as similar to Evanescence as a lot of people would like to.
I think it's a similar problem, obviously a little bit of a different element, but you know, the whole punk, pop punk, it's just trying to avoid being pigeonholed as a band, especially as you're making your mark on the way up. Right. It's kind of frustrating, and I guess the best that you could probably do is try to make it work to your advantage. But it's got to be tiresome after.
It's also just trying to describe your music to other people. Like you kind of tell them what we're trying to do, and everybody's like, "Oh, it's like Evanescence, right?" I'm like, kind of, not really, but
not
sure.
really.
I usually describe it as a cross between Evanescence and Tori Amos, actually.
So the biggest thing for Shadows Lie is the new album. It's your debut as Shadows Lie right now, and it's Echoes. And so, Claire, do you want to explain for us the process? Because what you hear on Echoes won't necessarily be what we hear here at G-Rock Rising today, as far as the components are concerned.
Right. Well, we're gonna play 3 acoustic songs today, so you're only gonna get a little kind of sample of the many different vibes and colors that are on the album Echoes. But how long, I don't know, how long do you feel that it took to sort of bring together?
I mean, the album itself we decided about a year ago. We had some demos of some songs, and we sat down about a year ago and decided we wanted to finish the album that we had started and write a couple new songs and then, you know, get the band together touring and all that kind of stuff. So last fall, we finished the recording around December. Around the end of the year, and then we started kind of putting the band together for live, you know, in February. So it's kind of been, I think February, the rest of the spring was kind of just getting everything together, and just starting over the summer, we really started to get out to support the album, you know, try and get the word out.
And you know, oftentimes we'll talk to bands, friends, and through G-Rock Rising, and it's a crazy process because by the time you're finally able to do what you want on the album, you've already been playing those songs live for, it seems like, lifetime. So it's this constant creative process and trying to keep yourself stimulated and then still having other people become familiar with it. So it's great that we have it out there, and there's plenty of local shows that you'll be able to have fans come out to, and we'll be talking about those in a second too. But talking about Kira and CT, you said you've known each other for the longest, and then as a band of New York area musicians, I know that the roster of venues that you guys have played at in some time or another, some form or another, is pretty impressive to a really devout music fan. I know that I saw CBGB's on the list there. You know, there's Arlene's Grocery, Webster Hall, and then you're soon going to be playing, this is a good time as any, October 7th, you'll be at a Jersey Shore landmark, which is the Stone Pony. Is there any venue that either you guys have played so far or that you're hoping to play where you can kind of gauge, wow, you know, we're really at a point where we want to be, we're making it happen for ourselves, someplace that you had like your own personal ties to that you just couldn't wait to get on stage at as a band as opposed to being there as a music fan?
The Garden.
Very good answer.
That's something to look to.
That's totally it.
That's the Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, we do the arena tours.
I always loved playing CBGB's though. I felt like I really enjoyed the sound there, and I really just liked the vibe there a lot. So that's really been my favorite place.
CBGB's was great. It was really sad. It was the best sounding like small venue in the city, and like I know I saw like Korn play there. I saw Disturbed play there. And it was one of the, I was really sad when they closed it down. It was genuinely like a good venue to play. As
a bunch of musicians then who've played it, who got that real vibe from it, do you think that by opening, just a side question, do you think that by opening a couple different CBGBs like Hilly Crystal's daughter is thinking about doing, do you think that might still, is it possible to have that same spirit in those newer venues?
It's
going to be tough.
It takes a lot of years to make a place look that dirty and disgusting, like in a good way.
They can't manufacture the grind, I guess, really.
But also, like, even not just on a vibe end of things, just on, like, really on the sound end of things, the way the stage was set up at an angle and the way the sound system was and all that kind of stuff, it's very, and everything's all wood.
Yeah.
It really is, I think, is going to be almost impossible to recreate. I mean, unless they literally recreate it.
Right, exactly. Like, dimension for dimension. So the good news is that shadows lie. So the good news is that Shadows Lie really had the chance to experience it before. We had to just have it in our memories at this point.
I think the other venue too was Webster Hall.
Webster Hall
was a big deal.
That was
for
really
us.
It's a cool
fun.
place. It's still a very small, you get that intimate feel, but it's not so tiny.
I love the balconies surrounding too.
With all the crazy things in there and
yeah.
stuff. Yeah, if you haven't gone and checked out the good thing is that if you haven't checked out a show at Webster Hall, you can still do that.
Yes.
And so that's in there for you fans to get a hold of. Don't want to forget to mention the website. This is as good a time as any to plug. ShadowsLie.com, easiest way to get to you, and all the shows that we're talking about. You can always check up for new shows as they're added and keep up with the band. Mentioned already that you're playing October 7th at the Stone Pony. Day before, you're also staying in the whole Jersey Shore area, at least Jackson, because you're going to be doing Fright Fest at Great Adventure October 6th, and there'll be a couple different sets for people to catch throughout the day, right?
Yeah. We're playing it, they all start in the evening. I think the first one's at 6:30 or 7, 6 o'clock, and then 8 and then 10.
That's fantastic. So that's a great vibe to be playing. I mean, that's got to be kind of an original place to play in that sense.
You're gonna bring some friends with us.
We're excited. Yeah.
That should be a
we're
fun
gonna ride the rides in between sets. So we're gonna do a set. We're gonna go ride the rides because it's free, and then we're gonna
make your most out of your day, max it out, and then people can catch up for each different set to see if the adrenaline has gotten you in a different way. See if it sounds any different.
If you don't see me on stage, I'm like throwing up.
That will be why then, I guess. Aside from the dates that we talked about, October 6th and October 7th, there's a handful of other local dates, a couple at Snitch in New York City. There's the possibility of the Secaucus area. I know there might be one in New Brunswick, so ShadowsLie.com, best chance to go and catch a live show, aside from the show that you'll be giving us in a second. But before we go, we know we have your debut album, Echoes, that people can pick up. Anything else, a last thought, I guess, as a band, that if someone were to come away from G-Rock Rising with one idea of Shadows Lie, what would be the most important thing, do you think, for people to think about the band or remember about the band?
I could say off the top of my head, the one thing that I'm really proud of about Echoes is that I feel, because it's an independently produced album, I mean, it's something that we did, it's, I think, a very good example of what happens when you give artists the ability to make like the best art that they can. We didn't have anybody looking over our shoulder saying, you got to make it, under 3.5 minutes so it's radio ready, or you got to make it this way, or you got to sell these albums. It really is a very genuine effort, genuine artistic effort.
You don't have to sound like a certain other band.
Yeah, we weren't trying to be like anybody. We weren't trying to fit into like an active rock, category in radio or something like that. We just made the music that we really wanted to make.
It's very pure. I think it's a very pure.
Well, one thing on top of that drew me to it when I first joined these guys was the emotional factor, about how the music made you feel something, both lyrically and musically. Even though, as simple as some of the songs are, they're just very, very powerful, and it just spoke to me and speaks to a lot of people that way. We've had emails of people telling us that, oh, I love your lyrics, it's really applying to me at this point, in my life and things like that. So I think that's a very big thing.
The minute you can connect to a fan and be ingrained in their memory, I think that's probably the best thing you could probably do as a band. That's a milestone to have reached in that sense. So the album is Echoes, the band is Shadows Lie, and they've been our guests on another edition of G-Rock Rising.